The Venezuelan chat, how the apex predator looks in Venezuela. Today we discuss.
Welcome to Venezuela Insider, the only place in Venezuela for expats, digital nomads, entrepreneurs, investors, travelers, and related internationals. For more information, venezuelainsider.com.
Today we are going to discuss how the Venezuelan chat actually looks like, how the apex predator, the alpha guy, how, you know what I'm speaking about, how this guy, the super giga chat looks in Venezuela for dating purposes, of course. You can be an alpha, I don't know, if you're a musician and a successful one, or a successful CEO, something like that. This is just about dating. This is just another fun weekend video in order to relax and forget about finance. Today, I'm not doing any economics and finance, so you have my word on that, just fun stuff. Well, for me, economics is fun as well. That's for another day. How this particular archetype actually looks like. So let's start. Something that I explain a lot here on my platform and my content is that in Venezuela is very, very, very important, very, very, very important status. And also that is driven because we have high levels of wealth inequality in the country. Venezuela, at best, is a top 10 country regarding Gini coefficient, aka a top 10 most unequal nation in the world. And in the worst case scenario, Venezuela is competing with South Africa for becoming the most unequal nation in the world. And of course, that brings a lot of social issues that manifest on everyday situations. Now, I have to say that, and I have to be fair here with my fellow Venezuelans, this is one of the best things that I love the most about my country, is that we, here in Venezuela, we discriminate a lot regarding status and social position and that kind of thing. However, the levels of racism, xenophobia are very, very, very low. In Venezuela, racism is something that practically it does not exist. And that goes to you if you are someone from abroad listening to this, and regardless of your race, your religion, your country of origin, we Venezuelans treat well a lot the average international, especially the Western international. So if you don't screw that up, you're going to get great treatment in the country, regardless of who you are. First thing. And also, yes, it doesn't matter. I'm going to say this. I'm going to explain how the alpha chat, the Venezuelan alpha chat looks. However, if that particular description doesn't fit your particular profile, something that I love about my country is that regardless of how you look, every man has a chance here in Venezuela. Let's go with how the Venezuelan chat looks like. Usually the physical look is a Mediterranean look, something an Italian descendant or could be a Middle Eastern descendant. That's basically the ballpark, the most attractive archetype for Venezuelan females. And this particular man usually is tall, but doesn't have to be, 6 foot, something like that. 5'10", basically can fit the bill. Usually very attractive men, of course. And these men, usually the traits, the physical traits, are, of course, like I said, Mediterranean, usually Italian. So imagine an Italian chat, something like that, but doesn't have to be, a giga chat. I mean, just good looking enough. It could be from Spain, could be from Portugal, could be from France, from Greece, a place like that, and also from the Middle East. Something that we have a significant proportion in demographics of Middle Eastern descendants here in the country. Most of them, I would say over 90% of the Middle Eastern Venezuelans, they come from Lebanon and Syria. And something that happens funny though on those particular countries, because they are different compared to the rest of the Middle East. Usually, they have large majorities or significant minorities of Christian Catholic population. So most of them are no Muslims. So they are liberal and progressive, quote unquote, for Middle Eastern standards. This is very important. So we don't have the Burke and that kind of thing. And, like Ted says that, Abdul get the rocks. We don't have that in Venezuela. Very good. So usually they are more liberal, and also according to, well, some people that are more specialists than myself on the Middle East regarding social social issues and social scenery, is that actually from Lebanon and Syria comes the most attractive people on the Middle East. This is according to them, not my particular opinion, but is something that is congruent with my own research. Now, why this particular prototype, archetype of men is, the alpha guy? And of course, they are good looking. Actually, I met a bunch of good looking people from Italy and from these countries, Lebanon and Syria, also from Spain and Portugal. Now, but it doesn't have to be just about the looks regarding the physical structure of these particular people. Also, that works all the other way around, because, by the way, you see a bunch of beautiful Venezuelan Italian descendant females, and they are gorgeous, by the way. Also Spaniard descendants, and also women and Venezuelan women descendant from Portuguese. Don't date Portuguese Venezuelans; they are crazy, by the way. And trust me on that. That's my experience. Also, women, the women, the Middle Eastern descendant, the Venezuelan women, Middle Eastern descendants are gorgeous, are beautiful. Been there, done that, by the way. I cannot say it without a smile. Anyway, well, this is a weekend video, so I can relax a little bit. Anyway, so this goes all the way around as well. And the issue is that it's not just about the physical trait and the physical looks. This is something that I have to be credited, is that the Venezuela, contrary as you might think that we have a bunch of migrants all over the world, the Venezuelan people, they are not accustomed to migrating. Actually, this is a fairly new trend. Historically, unlike other countries in Latin America, like Colombia, like Peru, like Mexico, of course, and mostly to the United States, the Venezuelan doesn't have a culture of being an exporter of people, of migrants, that kind of thing, of course, until recent events. Venezuela actually, it used to be importer of migrants. For instance, after World War II, we received a bunch of European descendants. After the wars, the Yom Kippur War in Israel, in the Middle East, those wars on the 70s, the Israel against the Middle Eastern neighbors, we received a bunch of migrants from the Middle East, especially from these countries, Lebanon and Syria. And of course, other parts in Latin America, Colombia, we have a lot of Colombians. So if you like the Colombian flavor, we already have it. We also have it here in the country, just saying. And the main point is that these particular people also came when Venezuela was very, very, very rich, between the 50s and the 70s, 80s, something like that. So these particular people, migrants, hardworking people, also we had murders and, robbers and bad people sending the bad people. So we already got bad people from those countries as well, if you're a Trump supporter. Well, anyway, I'm not going to get political today. The point is that the people that saw the opportunities, Italians, Germans, Spaniards, Middle Easterns, even Colombians also as well, they had an excellent country to do synergy. Back then, Venezuela was one of the richest countries in the world and by far the richest country in Latin America. So you had a lot of business opportunities and that kind of thing. So these particular people were very entrepreneurial. They created a lot of businesses and assets that, until a certain degree, they're still today on the Venezuelan economy. And of course, a big proportion of them also, they were bankrupt and sold cents on the dollar during the crisis. Of course, that already happened. I'm not going to get into the economics as well. But the main point is that actually, after the 80s and the 90s, and right now today, actually the high middle class, the fanciest people, that kind of thing, are usually, not always, of course, we have some born and raised Venezuelans that are also, very classic, but the fancy people actually here in Venezuela are usually Italian descendants, Spaniard descendants, Portuguese descendants, don't date Portuguese women, please, Middle Eastern descendants, and that kind of thing. So it's not just about the physical traits and the looks. Venezuelans see the people from Western Europe, especially the Mediterranean, and Middle Eastern, especially from these Christian Catholic countries in the Middle East, they see them as very hardworking, entrepreneurial, smart, so resilient. So that is why the average Venezuelan people tends to elevate this particular Mediterranean, Middle Eastern people. And now, In practice right now, it's not quite the case, but I mean, this is the mindset, still the mindset of the Venezuelan society. It's not because their looks, but also most of these people are beautiful people outside, and the men are quite attractive, and the women are, I cannot say without a smile. Well, anyways, what happens is that these people, they created a significant success on the past decades, let's say until last decade, something like that. Anyway, so it's because their traits, their skills, their personality, how they work out through our crisis, they were migrants, they were received on the country, and also we have to give credit to the average Venezuelan born and raised back then, because they were not racist and xenophobic and selling the best people, let's shut down the border, something like that, Okay, and I'm not gonna get political today. But the main point is that we Venezuelans, unlike the rest of the world, most of the rest of the world, we are not racist, xenophobic, any kind of thing. We treat kindly the international, especially the Western International, and also the Middle Eastern International. So that's a funny thing, though. And still today, that's one of the reasons why that happens a lot. That a lot of issues regarding racism and xenophobia in Latin America and the United States. It's because we Venezuelans are not accustomed to racism and xenophobia, because Venezuelans are not racist and not xenophobic at all. Now let's go back to the Venezuelan chat. Okay. Today, 2024, how the Venezuelan chat looks. Okay, like I mentioned, a little bit taller, Mediterranean, Italian, Middle Eastern looking, something like that. Usually dressed kind of nice. It doesn't have to be, a Valentino suit, something like that. No. Dress kind of nice. Let's say a nice dress shirt, something like that. And shoes, please, shoes. No sandals. That goes for you, Western tourists. Okay. And it's not only about dating. Every time this particular archetype arrives to a hotel, and a restaurant, something like that, usually the services, the waiters treat them better, the hotel receptionists, or even doing business, that kind of thing. That's not necessarily the case. They're going to be richer or more successful. But that particular archetype commands more respect amongst Venezuelan society. Now, if you come from abroad, how you compete with the Venezuelan chat? Well, let's say you look the complete opposite. What I will say is that first, you cannot, let's say you are, African descent. Very good for you. I met a bunch of African descendants that are good looking and successful. That's not the point. The point is that if you can inspire success and status and gravitas and poise with the same manner, that is something that is easily coachable, especially if you're a successful individual yourself. It's just a learning curve that you have to go, just rehearsal, just competition, just, going to practice every single day. Now, let's say that you fit that profile, but you come from abroad. And this is something that happened to me a lot with my clients. What happens is usually, and please, if you are from Italy or from Middle East, take it with a grain of salt. Is that usually these guys that, they are Italian or Middle Eastern, but they are not Venezuelan at all. Is the dress, the way they act. I'm not saying they are bad people or anything like that, but instead of, wearing a nice dress shirt or something like that, they wear sandals on a nice place or something like that. Or the Middle Eastern guys, that are actually good looking, instead of, being more casual, more cool, they still think that we are in Syria or something like that. And we are not in Syria. I say this a bunch of times. Also, that goes for the travel agencies, that they put Venezuela with Syria on the same cohort of dangerous countries. That's not the case. So we're not in Syria. We're not in the Middle East. We're not in Afghanistan. This is not a jihad. So please don't act like that. Act cool and casual, and you are going to get tremendous results. So the main point is the Venezuelan chat. Yet again, usually, like I said, the Mediterranean look with good aesthetics, but also is a philosophy, is a lifestyle, and also is combined with intangibles that shows go with the particular look. Usually are financially well off. Doesn't mean that they have to be rich or something like that and drive a Lamborghini or wear a Rolex watch or something like that. I'm not saying that, but with some financial gravitas, of course. And also the way that they speak, the network, that kind of thing. So when you can combine those things, maybe replicate it, or do it on your own terms, that's when you're going to have alpha chat success in Venezuelan dating.
Thank you for watching Venezuela Insider. Please like, share, and subscribe. Follow us on social media. If you want to work with us, VenezuelaInsider.com. Thanks again and have a nice day.